Hi everyone, I'm Levine, founder of Ways and the author of the Fall in Love with the Problem, Not the Solution book. And what I would like to do today is speak about the startup journey and the story of Ways and many other aspects of what will hopefully make you more successful in your journey. And entrepreneurship in general, it's usually start with a very strong emotional engagement, right? You run into something that you really like or something that you really hate, and I do hate traffic jams. And then you start to build your dream and you develop the passion until you are willing to sacrifice. And then you realize that this is going to be a roller coaster journeys with ups and downs and ups and downs. And I think that I heard the best expressions on that from Ben Horowitz. Ben Horowitz is one of the founders of Andreessen Horowitz. And he used to be a CEO of a startup, and he was asked whether or not he was sleeping well at night as a CEO of a startup. And he said, "Oh yeah, I slept like a baby. I woke up every 2 hours and cried." And this is the reality of the roller coaster journey of a startup. So for a second, I want you to think about it as falling in love, right? So there are many ideas that you think of, and eventually there is one idea that you tell yourself, this is what I'm gonna do, right? Or you go to many dates, and eventually there is one that you tell yourself, she is the one. Now at the beginning, you only want to spend time with your date. You don't care about the rest of the world. The same with your ventures. You're thinking about it from multiple perspectives, right? Here's the problem I'm going to solve, and these are the people that actually have this problem, and this is what I'm gonna do tomorrow morning, and this is my long run strategy, until you feel confident enough. And then you go and tell your friends, this is what I'm gonna build. Now the first reaction is always the same. They will tell you, this will never work. And these are the nice guys, right? The less nicer guys will tell you, this is the stupidest idea that they ever heard. And trust me, I heard that. You take your date for the first time to meet your friends and they're saying, she's not for you. This is where you disengage from your friends. So the good news is that you are in love and you don't listen to anyone else. The bad news is that you are in love and you don't listen to anyone else. The reality is that you need to be in love in order to go into this journey. And for me, this journey always starts with the same thing. Think of a problem. A big problem, something that it's worth solving, something that the world will become a better place if you solve that. And then ask yourself, so who has this problem? Now, if you happen to be the only person on the planet with this problem, then I would say, you know what, go to a shrink. It's much cheaper and much easier than building a startup. But if you think that a lot of people actually have this problem, then go and speak with those people to understand their perception of the problem. And only then go and build the solutions. Now, if you follow this path and your solution works, you actually guarantee that you are creating value. And this is the essence of your journey. So what do I mean when I say fall in love with the problem, right? And why? Two main reasons, right? So the market leader is going to be the one that claims ownership of the problem. And the other part of it, which really makes that dramatic, is that it's an easier story to tell. So if you think of Waze and the story would have been, okay, we are a very cool navigation system, no one cares, right? But if the story is, we are helping drivers to avoid traffic jams, then all of a sudden you can create the emotional engagement and you can basically say, wait a minute, traffic jams? I have that problem. And the emotional engagement that is being created with the problem is the one that makes your story easier, the one that makes your fundraising easier, and it's the one that brings users much easier. The good news is that when you are in love, and this is really critical, you're ready to make the leap of faith. You're willing to sacrifice. You can climb any mountain. And this is critical because you are ready to go into the journey, and the journey is challenging. The journey of building a startup is a journey of failures. Now, this is critical to understand, right? People want to think that, okay, you know what to do and therefore you're doing that and you're ended up to be correct. But you're trying to build something new. And even though that you have the conviction that you know exactly what you're doing, the reality is that we don't. And so we try one thing and it doesn't work. We try another thing and it doesn't work. We keep on trying different things until we find one thing that does work. So the reality is that, and this is really important, if you understand that building a startup is a journey of failures, then I would say, if you're afraid to fail, in reality, you already failed. Albert Einstein used to say that if you haven't failed, that's because you haven't tried anything new before. If you are going to try new things, you will fail. The other immediate conclusions of that is that you need to fail fast. And the reason that you want to fail fast is that you actually have enough time to try something else. And the faster that you fail, you actually buy yourself more time to make another experiment and another experiment until you find something that works. And so you essentially increase the likelihood of being successful by making more attempts. Now, the journey itself is really a long journey, and in particular, the one that says desert of no traction, right? And so at the beginning, there is a lot of excitement, and people are telling you, this is a great idea, and then you start to build your product or your go-to-market strategy or whatever it is, and you ended up with long period of no traction. I usually compare that to crossing a desert, right? So imagine that you're crossing a desert and then there is only sand around you. And you walk all day and there's still only sand around you. And so the reality is that you're making baby steps progress, but you don't see that. At the end of this journey, you will be out of the desert. Now, the most important journey is actually the product market fit journey. Product market fit basically means that you are creating value for your customers or for your users. And in reality, if you do not figure out product market fit, you will die. That's it. If you do, however, you actually not just buying yourself a ticket to the next part of the journey, it's very likely that you will be successful. I want you to think about all the applications that you have on your smartphones that you're using on a regular basis, right? So Waze and WhatsApp and Facebook and Google and Netflix and Uber, whatever it is, right? And ask yourself, what is the difference between any of those applications that you're using today and the first time that you have used that? And the answer is that there is no difference. So once you figure out product market fit, you don't change your product anymore, which means that you don't change your value proposition anymore. But the reality is that the journey to get there is actually pretty long. It was 5 years for Microsoft. It was 3.5 years for Waze. It was 10 years for Netflix. It's a long journey of failures until you figure out product market fit. And then you're on a path of being successful.